All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fundamental question about our inner lives, and we're going to be drawing from the original teachings of the Lord Buddha. The question is this: where does all our mental suffering actually come from? And more importantly, is there anything we can do about it?
I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? That anxiety, the frustration, that constant craving, these feelings can totally hijack our day. But where does all that turmoil actually come from? Is it just a random part of being human? Or is there a specific mechanism at play, something we can actually understand?
So, to get to the bottom of this, we first have to sort of distinguish the evidence. And the original teachings of the Lord Buddha give us a really important starting point. They point to two very distinct types of suffering. Getting this difference is absolutely the first step.
Okay, think of it this way. On one side, you've got physical suffering. You know, if you have a body, you're going to get sick sometimes, you might get injured. That's just part of the deal. It's unavoidable. But then there's this whole other thing, mental suffering. All the worry, the anger, the obsessive craving. The teachings call this a second layer, something extra that we add on top of everything else.
And this second layer, this is the one we're really going to focus on, because it's the one we actually have some power over, right? The goal isn't to magically escape all physical pain. It's about figuring out how to stop piling all this extra mental anguish on top of it. So, let's start digging. Let's look at the scene of the crime, which is, well, our own self.
And to find the glitch, you got to look at the machine, right? The teachings break down this whole concept of self into two really fundamental parts, the body and the mind. It's a surprisingly practical, almost analytical way of looking at ourselves.
So first up, we have the body, or rupa. Now, the teaching says it's not really this solid, permanent me we think it is. It's more like a temporary collection of natural elements. For example, the solidity of our bones, that's the earth element. The fluids in our body, that's the water element. Our body heat is the fire element, and even the breath moving in and out is the wind element. It's kind of like a cloud. It's just a temporary formation, not some fixed, solid thing.
And that brings us to the mind, or nama. Now, what's really interesting here is that this is all visualized as happening in the center of our chest, not our brain. And what's crucial to understand is that the mind isn't a thing. It's not some little CEO sitting in a control room in your head. It's actually a dynamic process, a system of 4 different parts that are constantly interacting.
And here they are, the 4 parts of that inner machinery. First, you have Vedana. That's just the raw feeling. Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or just kind of neutral? Then, boom, Sanya, or perception, jumps in and slaps a label on it. Ooh, I like this, or I hate that. Right after, you get Samskara, which is thought. This is the part that starts planning and reacting. And then there's Vijnana, or consciousness, which is just the basic awareness that, hey, all of this is happening.
Okay, so wait a minute. If the body is just a bunch of elements, and the mind is just this process, this natural flow of events, then where's the problem? If it's all just impersonal stuff happening, why does it hurt so much? Where does the suffering actually creep into the system?
Well, we've kind of looked at all the components, and it turns out none of the individual parts are the culprit. A feeling, by itself, not a problem. A thought, also not a problem. The real issue, the real source of the trouble, is a glitch in how we react to all of it.
And this, right here, is the absolute core of the whole teaching. It says the problem isn't the pleasure, or the pain, or the memory. The problem is that we are fundamentally ignorant. We just don't understand the true nature of what's happening in our own minds.
This ignorance has a name, avijja, and it's the root cause of everything. Think of it like a giant blind spot in our awareness. It's that default setting we all have that says, this feeling is mine. It's a huge deal. It's going to last forever, and I have to do something about it right now.
So here's how it all goes down. This is the chain reaction, the exact moment a defilement is born. First, a simple feeling pops up in the chest. But because of that ignorance, that avijja, we don't just let it be. Nope. We immediately try to grab onto the pleasant feelings and shove away the unpleasant ones. And in that tiny instant of blind reaction, poof, a defilement, a kilesa, like greed or anger, just ignites, and it completely clouds over that pure awareness in our chest.
Okay, so if that blind reaction is the problem, what's the solution? Do we have to just stop having feelings? No, not at all. The teaching points to a much more powerful alternative. It's all about changing our relationship with our feelings.
And there's a really great analogy for this. Imagine that the world is just full of bait. You know, delicious food, beautiful sights, pleasant sounds, all these experiences that are constantly being dangled in front of our senses.
Now, when we're operating from that place of ignorance, we're just like a hungry fish. All we see is the tasty-looking bait. We don't see the sharp hook of suffering that's hidden inside of it. You know, the attachment, the disappointment when the pleasure fades, the craving for more. We just see the bait, we bite down hard, and bam, we're caught.
So this lays out the two paths so clearly, right? On the one hand, we can blindly react. We can be a slave to our feelings, just getting hooked over and over again. Or we can cultivate the wisdom to simply know. And simply knowing means you see the whole picture. You see the bait, but you also see the hook. And because you see the hook, you can choose not to bite. You go from being a prisoner of your feelings to being the calm observer of them.
So the path here isn't about becoming some kind of emotionless robot. It's actually about being able to experience the full range of life, the good, the bad, all of it, but without that knee-jerk, ignorant reaction that creates the suffering. It's like learning how you can enjoy the sweetness of the bait without ever biting the hook.
And really, that's the key question to leave you with. What would actually change for you if the next time a feeling comes up, whether it's joy or a wave of total frustration, what if you could just meet it with simple, clear awareness, instead of that blind reaction? What if you could just let it be there without grabbing it or shoving it away? Because according to this teaching, that simple, tiny shift from reacting to just knowing, well, that's the entire path to freedom.